Okay, let's talk about the internet. We'll talk about wireless connections, the connections for wired internet, latency issues. We'll talk about what speed of internet access do you need for Zoom, and how do you check the speed of your internet access. Most typically, you will be connected to the internet wirelessly. It is the easiest and most portable. Today, it provides a great, reliable connection, and the speed is frankly quite impressive, and typically more than adequate for a Zoom meeting. We'll talk about what speed of internet connection you need and how to check it later. You can check which network you are connected to by touching the antenna-looking thing at the top of the screen on the right-hand side, typically next to the speaker. You can see we are connected to the MC Wi-Fi right now. Fastest and most stable of internet connections, it is wise to connect the computer to the internet with an Ethernet cable directly. You will need the Ethernet cable long enough to reach, and these are relatively cheap and can be found on the internet or at a place like Best Buy. You should measure about how long you need and add maybe 5 feet or so for bends. Some computers have a port for directly attaching the internet cable to the computer. Most do not and will need an adapter. The adapters will vary based on which laptop you own. Be careful and do your research before ordering your adapter. You will notice an increase in speed and stability with some increase or decrease in latency. At our house, the speed is increased about 50 to 100% when we connect directly to the internet via the Ethernet cable. Latency can be an issue in Zoom meetings. So let's talk about latency, what it is, how it affects Zoom meetings, and some things we can do about it. Note, if anyone on the Zoom call has a latency issue, you all might see the effects as Zoom is trying to gather up all the video and audio and package it in one streaming file. Latency is the lag between when you do something and you see it on the screen. For most of the time when you are facing your computer screen, there is very little latency between what you do and what you see. But latency does happen where there are several people in the Zoom meeting and is very obvious when they are all dancing to the same music. In some cases, you will see a significant lag between several of the dancers. This results in less than satisfactory performance. Latency is sometimes called a sync problems. So latency, syncing, lagging. Reducing latency and syncing problems can be accomplished a couple of ways. Each has an impact and can be done together to improve the performance. You can use a wired connection to the router and modem. If you can't wire directly, try and be as close to the modem as possible. Cutting down distance and walls between the modem and your computer is important. Reboot the modem by disconnecting the power plug from the modem for about 20 seconds and then reconnecting. This is an easy way to clear out any issues you have with the modem. Turn off devices in your house or your studio that use the internet and are not needed during the Zoom meeting. This will include other devices such as iPads, computers, and phones. No one should be streaming videos or downloading large files during a meeting, as this will take away the bandwidth that you're using for your meeting. Try disconnecting from the wireless network you are using and then reconnecting. This can be done during the meeting. You will freeze for about 10 or so seconds while you reconnect. This might be done a couple of times. It could have a dramatic effect on improving the lag and syncing up between the members and the participants on the Zoom meeting. So you might ask, what speed of internet do you need for a Zoom meeting? All of my research indicates you do not need blazing fast internet speeds of Zoom for Zoom meetings. It appears you need something more than about 5 megabits per second. This is really not fast at all, but again, this is the minimum. So going out and purchasing the fastest internet speed from your provider is not always the most productive or effective means of increasing Zoom quality. You do not need that fast of an internet connection. So how do you test for what internet speed you have at the connection point you have? Go to your browser and type online internet speed test, typically followed by your provider. Ours is Spectrum. You will see a screen like this and then just hit go. You will see your download speed followed by the upload speed. You should do this several times and see if the speeds are stable and consistent. You should typically do this at the time you're typically doing your meetings or holding your class, as it will vary throughout the day as other people on your internet connection, your neighbors and people upstream, use the internet and increase the demand on that particular cable. So in conclusion, here are some strategies for determining what internet speed you need and how to improve it, and how to decrease the latency or lag between participants. It is important that you all have an open and direct communication line between everyone on the call to help make the experience as good as possible. You will want to discuss if somebody is lagging or not and ask them to perform, perhaps unconnect from the internet and then reconnect. It is not possible to take the latency down to zero, but it is possible to make it tolerable.